Hello. You are with the Tales History and a new original story from my channel about a life story. Tatiana looked at the old little house. Yes, far from a mansion, but she was incredibly happy with it. After leaving the orphanage, she had been shuffled from office to office for almost 3 years, unable to get housing. It was good that the orphanage didn't abandon its own. So she lived, sometimes with one person, sometimes with another. When they told her that there was only a house in the village, Tatiana was initially indignant. And the official, smirking, told her that if she didn't like it, she would have to wait another year or two. Tonya agreed. Well, people live in the village too. Maybe it would even be easier there. The girl resolutely opened the door, entered, and sneezed. Yes, dust lay in thick flakes everywhere. But there was one quite decent plus in the house: there was at least some furniture. Rolling up her sleeves, she started cleaning. Less than half an hour had passed when there was a knock at the door. Tonya cried out in fear, yes. Of course, she wasn't expecting anyone. A woman about 45 years old stood at the door and smiled friendly. Hello. Are you here? And I was wondering who was managing this abandoned house. Tonya didn't smile back. Well, they gave it to me as an orphan. The woman frowned. How so? It's almost uninhabitable. Oh, what's going on in the world? The woman stepped forward. How are you going to live here? It's terrible. Give me, please, shoulders. So gradually. Here's what. I'll activate my family now. Together we'll manage faster here. Tonya wanted to stop Rita, said that she could manage slowly on her own. That she had no money to pay her anyway. At the mention of money, Rita stopped. Let's agree right away that they were offended. Only for the first time and only because you haven't seen life. In our village, we are like one big family. So don't bring up money. People here are open, want to help, offer help, want to sell, they say so. Understood. Tonya nodded, yes. Well done. And you still haven't told me your name. Tatiana. A good name. Well, we'll be quick. Rita disappeared behind the door as swiftly as she had appeared. Tonya even blinked several times to understand what had just happened, and then she smiled. Very soon the door opened again, this time without a knock. Meet them. This is my husband Mikhail. He will see where something needs to be fixed for you. And this is my daughter, Anna. Now she will be our neighbor. Tonya really liked her neighbors. Rita was beyond words. Her husband was quiet, big, and unquestioningly obeyed his wife, and overall they were like a family from a good story, a real loving family. In the evening, Anya set the table. After feeding Tonya and inspecting the house, Rita said, well, there's still a lot of work to be done here, but it's already livable. Tonya looked happily. It was simply impossible to compare what she had seen when she arrived and what it was now. Very soon the door opened again, this time without a knock. Meet them. This is my husband Mikhail. He will see where something needs to be fixed for you. And this is my daughter, Anna. Now she will be our neighbor. Tonya really liked her neighbors. Rita was beyond words. Her husband was quiet, big, and unquestioningly obeyed his wife, and overall they were like a family from a good story, a real loving family. In the evening, Anya set the table. After feeding Tonya and inspecting the house, Rita said, well, there's still a lot of work to be done here, but it's already livable. Tonya looked happily. It was simply impossible to compare what she had seen when she arrived and what it was now. Tonya really settled in quickly. After just a week, she understood that she could relax a bit, that here in the village you didn't have to expect a trick from every person. Here people say what they think. Sometimes it sounds a bit rough, but at least you can be sure that no one is holding a stone behind your back. She was hired as a nanny in a kindergarten. The salary was small, but Tonya hardly spent it because the villagers, as soon as they found out that she was from an orphanage, brought her everything they could. At first, Tonya tried to refuse, but the people were genuinely offended. We give from the heart. And even after some time, they constantly tried to feed her, treat her. Just yesterday, on her way home from work, old man Nikite called out to her, "Tonya, from work?" "Yes, Nikki for Nikitek, come visit us with the old lady for a minute." Tonya sighed and headed towards the gate. Grandma was already waiting for her there. "Here, the cucumbers and tomatoes grew surprisingly well this year. Take them." "But what if I don't eat them?" Grandma intercepted Tonya's horrified gaze directed at 2 buckets full of vegetables. "Don't worry, Tonya, the old man will help you now." In the 2 months that Tonya lived in the village, she learned a lot. First, she and Rita planted her entire garden, which Mikhail had previously loosened with a tractor. Then she learned to water, weed, and even tried some things from her garden. She learned not to wake up when Rita's abnormal rooster flew onto her fence, right under the window where she slept, and sang his songs. The next day was Tonya's day off, and she decided to spend the whole evening processing vegetables. Grandma was right, everything would come in handy in winter. In the evening, Anya dropped by. "Here, Mom sent you some mushrooms." "Oh, are there already mushrooms?" Anya snorted. "Of course there are. Right behind your garden, the forest begins. If you go, don't go far, it's endless." Early in the morning, Tonya took a basket that she found in the attic and headed towards the forest. She was in a great mood. She had never picked mushrooms before, although she knew how to do it. The beauty around was indescribable, mist in the lowlands, the sun was already rising behind the forest. Tonya almost squealed with delight and for the umpteenth time mentally thanked those very officials who decided to save on her fate. And despite the fact that Tonya hadn't slept at all, someone had been driving a car around the village all night, she didn't regret getting up so early. She found the first mushroom right away on the edge of the forest and immediately understood what the thrill of a mushroom picker was. After 2 hours, she had a full basket of small, sturdy white mushrooms. Tonya looked around regretfully, so much of everything. Over there, behind the bushes, was a small swamp, and on it was last year's cranberries. Tonya thought, put the basket under a large noticeable oak, covered it with burdock leaves, then took off her kerchief, made something like a knot, and went for the cranberries. She didn't know how much time had passed, but her growling stomach reminded her that it was time to go home. Okay, I'm coming." The sun was setting. It turned out that she had spent the whole day in the forest. Tonya straightened up and froze. On the other side of the swamp lay an airplane, already completely blind, apparently from the time of the Great Patriotic War. But the airplane. The girl looked around. It was clear that she hadn't gone too far, and therefore it was completely safe. Tonya walked around the airplane, ran her hand along the wing. Wow, interesting, why hadn't anyone taken it away from here? She stood on a stone, trying to look inside, and suddenly someone sneezed there. Tonya was startled and fell. "Oh, who's there?" In response, silence. Probably, she would have run away, but the sneeze was somehow childish, or maybe some animal had sneezed. The girl resolutely got to her feet, brushed herself off, and climbed back onto the stone. When she finally looked inside, she gasped. A pair of child's eyes, tearful and red, were looking at her. "Who are you? And what are you doing there? Come on, let me help you get out." The little girl sniffled, tried to say something, but couldn't. Tonya took a bottle of water out of her pocket. The little one drank greedily, then handed Tonya the rest of the water and said, "I was mad at my dad. And then I got lost. I wanted to look at the airplane and fell inside, but I couldn't get out. I was so scared when it got dark." Tonya gasped, "You spent the night here?" "Yes. And only then did I fall asleep." Tonya imagined how scared the child was, what the little girl felt, and her heart even ached. "Let's go quickly. I live nearby, I'll feed you, then we'll look for your dad." "Okay. Just tell him not to be mad at me. I didn't mean to get lost. I'll definitely tell him." Tonya thought about what she would tell him so he wouldn't get the wrong idea. Who is the father or just calling himself that? She picked up the basket and quickly headed towards the village. She held the little girl's hand tightly. The child, apparently recovering from the stress, didn't stop talking. Tonya found out that she didn't have a mother, that they lived in the city, that her father was very good, but worked a lot, and this greatly upset Ksusha. That was the girl's name. This time she asked her father to take her to the lake to see the swans, and then to the forest to listen to the cuckoo. But her father said he was very busy, that she needed to wait. And Ksusha categorically didn't want to wait, and here's the result. While Ksusha was telling all this, they had already reached the house, and Ksusha suddenly got very tired. She hadn't even eaten a few spoonfuls of soup before she fell asleep. Tonya moved her to the sofa, covered her, and thought, what to do next? The conclusion was obvious, she needed to run to Rita. She was clearly aware of all the news. How the whole district is on alert. They're looking for the little girl. It's unbelievable, the father is going crazy. You call wherever you need to, and I'll run. She's already been through enough. She spent the night in the forest. Now Tonya hadn't been home for half an hour when a car stopped outside the windows, and immediately another one. She went to the door to warn them not to make noise, but she didn't have time. A young man rushed into the house and, barely glancing at Tonya, shouted, "Ksusha. My dear." The girl opened her eyes and immediately fell into her father's arms. She burst into tears. "Oh, forgive me. I was so scared. I'll never do that again." The man stroked her hair. "And you forgive me? We'll definitely go see the swans and listen to the cuckoo." Ksusha moved away from him. "And will we take Tonya with us?" The man looked at Tatiana. She was embarrassed. Igor turned out to be some kind of super internet. He was paid very well. Apparently, he invented. Tonya was not on good terms with computers, so she didn't understand at all what he was telling her when they were walking to the lake a week later. Ksusha ran ahead. Finally, the girl stopped. "Dad, come on, you're like a little one. Do they talk about this with girls?" Igor was embarrassed. "Sorry, Tonya. I don't communicate with the female gender very often, I just forgot what to talk about." At that moment, all of Tonya's stiffness fell away. For the rest of the time, they passionately argued abo.